Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most overpowered Amon build in Borderlands 4 to take on Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 and Bloom Reaper the Invincible. Now, the crazy thing about this is the Scourge skill tree can actually let you face tank a lot of these attacks here, and we're using the Disc Jockey here to be able to spread our damage around really quickly, and then we have things like the Dirk Beast which will just shred through these orbs here so that we can get into the second phase real quick here. Now that is pretty fast for Amon. He's a little slower than the other 3 Vault Hunters, but he can still do it. Unfortunately, Amon's only competitive build here is his Heavy Ordnance build. However, it's still pretty good because it's going to be using some of the most fun weapons in the game to use. You can also use a lot of purples. These will typically be your better choice, like the Honey Bunches, the Tongue Wag, the Litter, Spitter, Rocket Socket, Streamer, and Bottle Lightning as well. Into the skill tree, we'll be using a bit of red and blue. This just ends up being his best overall skill tree. One thing I do want to mention is when the level cap increases, this will let us actually get the blue skill tree and My Touch is Death. What's crazy about this is we can activate kill skills with using one of the class mods that gives us multiple different forge drones, so we can get a bunch of different green skill tree to proc this. So this is actually going to scale really well in the future level cap. So I know a lot of people don't think that Amon's very powerful. I just wanted to lead off with that. He will get a big power spike. The first option we're going to go with is the Scorched Kairos here, giving us increased ordnance, damage, and magazine size. Both these things are nice. This then takes us down to one of the most core principles of this build, Tail of the Comet. Whenever we deal ordnance damage, there's a chance to apply a status effect, which will deal status or crowd damage over time. Status effect application and chance will increase this chance of happening. This is really good because Tail of the Comet then feeds into Primal Surge and a few other points that we'll be going into. The best part about this is we get Heavy Ordnance infinitely, which is quite strong, as you can imagine. Now, you can go down with some of these other options here, but I think the best one is to go with Battleborn here, getting increased gun damage the more full our health is. Now, one of the crazy things is Heavy Ordnances get the bonuses from gun damage, but they also get Ordnance bonuses too. So anytime that we can get these, this is going to be good. And even furthermore to that, when you get the Specialization that adds your gun damage to your Ordnance damage, you then get 1.5 times all gun damage increases. So whenever we get that 20% there, it becomes a 30% extra gun damage, or extra damage on our Heavy Ordnance at full health. We can then swap out our Augment here. I find this is good for leveling the Eternal Winter, which lets you use your Scourge skill tree here and spam the attack and continually keep using it. It actually got a pretty big buff in terms of its damage. I feel like they may change this a little bit, make it maybe different in the future. But I do think once we get down here, we want to take the Icy Rage because this gives us crowd, whenever we deal crowd damage to kill an enemy, we get bonus gun damage, which again is going to apply to our Heavy Ordnance as well. And then we can come down and take the Primal Surge. So this is really good because, again, we get our shield restoration, but ammo and shield. So we're survivable, but also getting infinite ammo. And I also think the best augment to go with is the Cryonic Thrum here. This will taunt enemies. If you're playing with friends, that's great. It does an ordnance that does waves, so you can proc your ability here a little bit more frequently. And the big thing here is whenever we use this, we get bonus crowd damage on top of it. But it's the pulses that it sends out. Now, I honestly don't think it's good for us to go with a capstone. The Glacial Rupture is nice, but we want to have our firewall on as low of a cooldown as possible. This is 50 seconds here and it changes to 60 there, so it's honestly better just to keep the firewall. This also boosts our Heavy Ordnance as well. At this point, though, it's best to go into the red skill tree here with Heavy Plate being a great choice because this gives us more shield capacity, and we can tank the first attack that Bloom Reaper does on Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 while using this and having Scourge up. It's really good. So we're very tanky, more tanky than any other character. They oftentimes will get one-tapped here. Now, once we get down here, I'd recommend grabbing 1 point of Gut Punch because this can apply a weakness on the enemy and then they'll deal less damage to us and we deal extra damage to them. So 20% more damage, 40% less damage dealt by them. Huge. And then we can come down here and take Wield the Storm. We want anything that's going to give us increased status effect damage because we do a lot of status effects there with the ability Tail of the Comet. But you could also take the choice here, melee damage and skill damage from the Titanium Knuckles, which is also quite nice. Once we get down here, Forge and Steel can be good because we use our Forge skill often. 6 seconds of immunity is pretty useful. But once we get down here, the best choice is Bullet Storm because when we apply status effects, which we do often, we get increased gun damage for duration, 7.5 per stack, 5 stacks max. This then takes us down to Berserk. Now, this is really good because when we use our Forge Wall here, Firewall, we're going to proc Berserk, which when we activate our skill, we become Berserk for duration, gaining slow immunity, and bonus crowd damage. So 30% bonus crowd damage with gun damage and melee. This applies to our Heavy Ordnance, and then it takes us to There Is Only Red, 3 stacks. Kill skill, so whenever we take out enemies, we get 4 more seconds of our Berserk, which normally has that 15-second duration, and we get increased 60% crowd damage every time we get a kill for a max of 600% bonus crowd damage. This is really good if we can get rolling with it, especially if there's a lot of enemies nearby, and there is in Bloom Reaper's case, and a few other bosses. So this is really nice because, yeah, you're going to be dealing a lot more damage. We also want to take at least 1 point here in Blackout because this gives us Ordnance critical hit chance if you're not going to be using the specialization. And this will actually apply a bonus shock damage as well. So this can be pretty useful just for this slight benefit you get, as we can also take the Bloodlust there whenever we get our shield broken. We get Life Steal, which is kind of nice too. But this is really important because this is giving us a bunch of extra cryo damage, which we can then, we're going to be stacking our conditions and then getting Primal Surge ammunition back really quickly. And like most times, the best class mod for Amon is actually to go with a purple one. This one here comes with very important roles because we can get more points into our Scorch Kairos here, which increase our ordnance damage and magazine size, and also Ballistic Bulwark, which is super useful on here. So when we'll gain overshield when we deal ordnance damage, and that's kind of what we're doing. We get infinite ordnance, so we can get infinite amounts of health back or overshield, so we're very survivable. This also gives us some points into the Endless Bombardment, which gives our heavy ordnance a chance to refund ammunition. So you don't need this, but it helps. So that's kind of cool too. Another decent choice is the Forge Master because this gives you another use of the Forge Wall. And that's good because, again, that's Berserk. That's our core thing for damage. So yeah, there's a few different good Forge Master roles here. There's also a different Cyborg and Grenadier, different choices for your class mods that work well. If you can get one that gives you increased ordnance damage and damage dealt, that's going to be the best choice. And this one also came with critical hit damage and Gadgets Ahoy, which ideally, yeah, we'll get to firmwares in a moment. Watts for dinner, still the best shield in the game, unfortunately. So yeah, the bonus 25% shock damage is great. I have this one here with 20% shield for 50% gun damage. You can get it up to 38% shield for 150% gun damage, which is preferred. You could also roll the Super Soldier, which does not anymore. They changed it on the last patch. It won't restore your heavy ordnance ammo, so just a heads up on that. That was the latest patch that updated that. So Super Soldier, stonks down. Watch for dinner, up. I like the Hero Bullet here because I like to use the Wombo Combo as well. It's not something you need to use, but it does do the first phase of Bloom Reaper really well. Although the Jacob's Bounce Pass is typically going to be your best choices just because, yeah, getting your Dark Beast to chain around multiple times. And these bullets also pierce. So if you pierce enemies, both those are chaining around. It's crazy damage. So yeah, that's another good choice. As mentioned, I went over Ordnance a bit at the start. The Disc Jockey, very powerful weapon. It's going to give you infinite ammo again, so you can use that. Atling Gun's good. The Utka is actually a pretty good weapon as well. I personally, my favorite is the Tongue Wag. Honey Bunches is a good choice too, but these all have some very high damage output. You could also use the Bottle Lightning if you're mobbing. This is really powerful too. And yeah, my personal preference is just the Disc Jockey. I find that this has very high damage. And I like the triple bypass with splash damage increases, giving you 25% bonus splash damage. This is nice on a splash damage build. Now, the best choices for augments, I'd like to have 2 Gadgets Ahoy, giving us ordnance damage 20% bonus, and also 3 points into high caliber. This is good because bullets pierce enemies can make the Golden God work like the Dark Beast here. And this is, if you have 3 points of high caliber, this can be really good. I did just swap around some gear, so I don't have it currently prepared, but it is very strong on this. I just think the Dark Beast is more consistent. You don't have to do as much setting up, and the Dark Beast is honestly really good. You can put this on anybody. It's going to be powerful. The Wombo Combo is good too. As mentioned, this weapon here is going to be a very powerful one because it's got rockets. And if you're using the Vladov enhancement, that gives you a lot of extra rockets and damage. Very powerful. The bod, for phase 2 of Bloom Reaper, this is just the weapon to use unless you got heavy ordnances because, yeah, being able to scale up your damage is really nice. Although he doesn't use it as best as 3 other characters in this game, it's still decent enough. But I think the Dark Beast, Wombo Combo, and Golden God give you a lot of coverage there. For normal mobbing, you can use the Hot Slugger. I also really like to go with the TK's Wave or the Rainbow Vomit here. TK's Wave being good because it does crazy amounts of damage. You can get even higher rolls for damage. The Rowdy Rider's good if you're mobbing because you can get a lot of critical hits. It gives +2 ricochets, but you also have the Jacob's Lake since Bounce Pass, additional bullets. And the Oscar Mike with the Space Laser is good too. As for specializations, really this is nice because 50% gun damage is great when you consider that our heavy ordnances take that 50% gun damage boost. But they also then take from full spectrum arsenal, ordnance will get the bonuses from gun damage, 50% of them. So yeah, that 50% turns to a 75% to our heavy ordnances. It's kind of crazy. And then the fragmented payload here will give us heavy ordnance even increased critical hit chance and damage on those crits. And then the best defense here, giving us plus 30% damage dealt when our health is full, similar to some of the other skills that we have there, which gives us even further damage when we have full health. We will be keeping our health decently full because from our class mod there, you do have the ballistic bulwark to give yourself overshield, protecting you pretty well, and the Scourge also absorbs a ton of damage from Bloom Reaper. Now, putting up your Forge Wall is really nice because this just gives you a flat out boost to your damage when you're shooting just like this. And yeah, I accidentally blew myself up because these do have explosive rounds, so just be careful with that. But another thing is then you can go ahead with the Disc Jockey here because this is going to speed up the projectiles of it. It gives you the Berserk extra damage. And the crazy part about the Disc Jockey is these bounce around so they find enemies, so it's just good. It's kind of like a ricochet heavy ordnance. And yeah, if you can get the Tongue Wag here, this does some pretty crazy damage and further boosted because we got our wall up there, so yeah, the rockets will shoot quicker. I really like this weapon. It's a very powerful rocket launcher, and you can swap these out when you're fighting. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed this video. Amon will be getting some pretty big buffs as the level cap increases here, but even still, shooting out rockets like this is plenty of fun. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and have yourself a great day.